boys and girls, Doug Childs here. It's Warriors, Rich.
And Wildmen. What's happening, Doug?
Talking about making strong sons. And they are made, they're not born. And Dad, I hate to tell you this, but it's primarily on you, according to this thing. What's that book, Rich? There's a book that, oh yeah, it's the Bible.
Oh, the best-selling book of all time.
Yes. And it says in Ephesians 6:4 that dads are to raise their kids in the fear and the admonition of the Lord and not provoke them to anger. So the onus, Pops, is on you. And no, there's a lot of single mothers out there, but, about to get into a super long, complicated, and controversial podcast. Let's just focus on the dads primarily. Raising strong sons. And again, this is not just for the boys, but just raising great, righteous, and rowdy kids, man. That the onus is on the parents, and in particular, the father. And we've been going through this list over the success habits, if you're just now dropping in. And it's a dandy list. And we've done 3 or 4 podcasts about the 20 points that are in this diatribe about raising, again, daughters and sons that are worth their salt. And we're at point number 13, Rich, and if you haven't listened to the other podcasts, they're gold, man, pure gold, practical stuff. It's not Spock, it's not Freud, it's dang near this thing called biblical. But we're at point number 13, and this one, a lot of people won't do it because they think it makes them look stupid, but asking for help is wisdom and not weakness.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, according to what it says right here on the internet that Al Gore invented, pride keeps men silent while damage grows. Strong men know their limits. Survival often depends on support.
So good. And I think, like we've said on the previous podcast, this isn't just for raising kids. This is for us, guys. So if you don't have kids or your kids are grown, this applies to us. Remember, what's true of them must first be true of you. Get these things. You need this too. So it's not just, I don't have kids, so this doesn't matter to me. It matters. So pride keeps men silent. You know, that's the famous thing, Doug, is that guys would not ask for directions. And I think I might have told this story before, but one time we're in the car with my mom and dad, and we were going to visit my aunt in California. And that was back before GPS and any of that kind of stuff. You literally use maps, in your car like a pirate. And you just planned your course. And so we got over there, and my mom couldn't remember how to get to her sister's house. And my dad, they were kind of arguing a little bit. And my mom's like, stop and ask for directions. And my dad doesn't want to. And he's trying to look at the map. And my brother says from the back seat, he's probably 10. And he says, Dad, just ask somebody where Ralph's is. And my dad ignores him. And a little while later, my brother says it again. The third time, my dad turns around and says, Cal, who the hell is Ralph? And why would anybody know where the hell Ralph lives? And my brother is quiet, kind of looking at my dad, and he says, Dad, Ralph's is a grocery store. Aunt Chris lives down the street, 2 streets from Ralph's. If we can get to Ralph's, I can get us there. And my dad literally started cracking up laughing and couldn't stop. And my brother was laughing, and everybody was good after that. But it was pretty funny. That's the classic thing, right? But it's not just, Doug, it's not just directions. Men typically think that asking for help is a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. I don't got all day, bro. If you know something, Doug, I've said it before. You say, you know this, and say, no, I don't know it. And you say, you never heard of this? Never heard of it. I don't want to impress you. I want the information. I want to learn.
Yeah, when in 2000, I think it's around 2015, Clash Daily is just exploding. And just going nuclear and shaking the planet. And this young guy comes up to me, and he's like, hey, man, we can scale this. We can take it to the next level. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no clue. I don't even know what you're talking about. Just so far beyond me. And I said, tell you what, you got the job. And I'm going to pay you. And he's like, no, I want a partner. It's like, done. So you want to buy in? Great. Here's the ticket to get in. It was a sweet ticket, Rich. And uh, I don't even know what he's talking about. And he was like, listen, you just be you. You create. And I was like, all right. And so, all this stuff that, I wanted to do, I wanted to see done, he's the one that facilitated it because he has the wisdom. I still don't know what he's talking about. I still cannot
Right.
do what he can do. And that's, King David wasn't like, I'm king, damn it. And nobody else has any kind of, authority or input or nothing. No, he gathered himself with mighty men. And those mighty men, man, they knew things that David didn't know. And David wasn't, full of pride and intimidated and, and have some kind of evil Salieri versus Mozart, Saul's spirit about him in regards to the wisdom and the capabilities of the other mighty men. He's cool with it. But pride, man, if you get some guy or girl that's smarter and sharper than you in some form or fashion or field, then there's going to be a test if you can't again, humble yourself, let God put the team together, and go forward. If you got to be the stud duck or the puddle all the time, you're going to be this thing called severely limited.
Yeah, and think about it. There's a difference, and we use this word too commonly and we use it incorrectly. But there's a difference between being dumb and being ignorant. And we act like ignorant is some derogatory term just because everybody uses it like that. It just means you don't know. So there's a difference between dumb and ignorant. Now, if you're dumb, you don't try to get the information because you don't want to look dumb. If you're ignorant and you don't know, you say, hey, I don't know this. Can you teach me so that I can know? See, you were ignorant and now you know. The Bible calls that wisdom. But the dumb person is working so hard to not look dumb that they can't get wise. So they're not only ignorant, they're dumb. And one of my favorite quotes from a very spiritual guy, John Wayne: life is hard. It's a lot harder when you're dumb. Like, that's the greatest quote ever. That's like the book of Proverbs summed up in one quote, 2 sentences. Think about it. If you need to know, ask. If somebody says something you don't know about, just say, oh, I don't know. Doug, people want to lead like Bible studies in their home, and we train to do that, cell groups and stuff. And people say, what if somebody asked me something I don't know? And I said, well, that's not a fear. That's real. People will ask you stuff you don't know all the time. They do it to me. And I do this incredible thing that's so empowering, Doug. I look right in their eyes and I say, I don't know. It's not my job to know what I don't know. If it's something I need, then I'll ask and I'll learn it. But I don't know everything. And some people, Doug, are so dumb, that they think I know and I don't want to tell them. And I tell them, I'm not the Lord. You study it. Come back and tell me what you learn. I don't know. There's no problem not knowing. And then find out, right? Ask for help. Ask somebody. It's the
Yeah,
most
again,
simple thing in the world.
yeah, and again, it's biblical. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask God, and He's going to give it to you, and He's not going to make fun of you, and He'll make you, shrewd in the areas where, again, you're ignorant, and sometimes He uses humans to bring that 411 where we lack it. And so listen, I think this is, and again, it could be set guys like us at our age or my age, pride could come in there, but I don't really care anymore. It's like, if you know something that I don't, and it's true and honorable and good, lay it on me. If you can do something,
Congratulations.
if you can do something in regards to what God has called me to do, and you want to help, and you want to knock this ball down the football field further and higher, yippee ki man! Let's roll. So yeah, I don't. Again, I think, and again, it could saddle guys my age, but I think this is a big problem with a lot of younger men too. I mean,
For sure.
you look at a lot of young male Christians. they're like, what could we glean from Rich or Doug or from, the older seniors? Like, oh, dude, a lot. What, what they might not know in coding and technology and being, Rico Suave. Ooh, good Lord, man. They've got a glut of wisdom that was
We've been
hard.
to hell and back, and sometimes the
Yeah.
trip was our design and our fault.
Uh-huh. This is number 14. Failure is information, not identity. My Taekwondo instructor, he would come up to us, Korean train, down in the gravel pits of Korea, and snow, and he would like, when you make a mistake, make good one. You know, when we make mistakes in Christendom, it's like, oh, you're cursed. God's going to punish you. God's going to punish you for the next, 3 Olympics or some kind of crap like that. And you look at all the failures in Scripture, man. They grew through eating it and eating it
Yep.
badly. Psalm 119, David said, "Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I keep your law." And so the failure here is, it's not condemnation. It's just like, that's just information. Okay, here's what not to do, and it
Right.
doesn't define you. Again, look at Peter, man. I don't effing know Jesus. I deny him. I blah, 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 bebopping and scatting in front of a 13-year-old girl, and that's a failure. If people saw you at the Yuma, coffee shop, and you're cussing a blue cloud man, distancing yourself from Christ, saying you don't know him, I guarantee they wouldn't be looking for you to lead not a small group, but church. You'd
The
be on
worldwide church.
you'd be on the bench, man, ad nauseum, ad infinitum. But Jesus, think about this, Rich. Like 2 months after Peter blew it, completely blew it, he is the point man of the now 11 with Matthias preaching the gospel. And
Yep.
Jesus is like, that's not your identity. That's you found out, you got you got read in on who you are, but now the Holy Spirit is going to fill you, and yeah, I'm cool with it. You know,
Yeah. And you know what? I have an article somewhere. I'll pull it out, and we'll do a series of podcasts on it. I think you'll love it. I can't remember the guy's name, but it's entitled something like this, like 12 reasons or whatever it is, why your life will never amount to shite. And in this list, he says all these cool things, but one of the things he says is that you're trying not to fail because of your fear of failure, and I'm failing as fast as I can. He's not talking about moral failure, obviously, but that could be included in your list of things that you need to grow through, right? But he's talking about, you're trying to look good, I'm trying to learn, and the fastest way to learn is through failing. And then he says this awesome thing: you're planning and preparing, I jump off the cliff and I learn how to fly on the way down. It's that kind of article, right? So it's a flip on it. Like the way he writes it, instead of do these things, he's saying you're never going to do anything because you do this and I do this. It's a fantastic article. But that's the idea, is that I'm failing as fast as I can. He's not intentionally failing. He's intentionally trying things. And every time he fails, it makes a note. And every time he fails, it makes a note. And he doesn't get discouraged. He thinks this is the process, because failing is not your identity, and it's not final unless you quit. If you don't quit, then it's just a chapter on the story and a part of the process of success. If you want to be a winner, there's failures. And there's a whole percentage thing of how many shots Michael Jordan missed, how many game winning shots he missed, how many shots Tiger Woods missed, how many cuts he missed by one shot, how many things. And then it talks about how many times, and such a low percentage of times. And then one of the most famous tennis players, I can't remember his name now, but he talked about how many points he won, Doug, versus how many he lost. And the margin was so small. And he said, I had to understand that even though I lost that point, it's behind me. Let's go. And so he learned from those things from watching tape later. So he did two things. He learned from it lesson, but in the immediate, I need to set that aside because I need to focus on what I'm doing. Because failure is not our identity. It's something that we did or something that happened. It's not who we are. So you're only a failure if you quit and it's final. If you fall 7 times and you get up every single time, like the Bible says, well, now you're not a failure. It's the success story, right? Turn the page. There's another chapter. The book is not over. If you're still breathing, let's go. Learn. Stop making excuses for your failure. Write it down. I did that. I screwed that up. Write it down and learn. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it was Edison or maybe Henry Ford. I think it was Edison or Alexander Graham Bell. They're trying to invent something, and you get this one smarmy jackass comes up and is like, "So you had 1,200 experiments that failed. What do you think about that?" He's like, "Well, I just plowed through stuff that didn't work until I found and came up with this wonderful
Edison.
incandescent light bulb. See, isn't it pretty, you moron?" And
Yeah,
again,
his answer to that, one of the other things that he said about that was when he would do something and it didn't work, and he'd write down the number that it was that didn't work, and they would ask him, "This isn't going to work. You're not going to do it." He says, "Well, I know 1,239 ways that it won't work, so I am closer to finding." That was his mentality. And here's a really cool story about him. His factory burned down with stuff that he was inventing, everything. And then he went in there and he was walking through it and he found a book and he opened the book. And in the book was a picture of him that was burned around the edge, but you could still see him in the picture. And he held the picture up, Doug, and I think it slams this point home. He says, "The fire never touched me." It's just a chapter, man. Turn the page, write the information down. Let's go. You're on your way to success. If it
point
wasn't
number
for failure
15.
being on the way to success, I'd have quit a long time ago, Doug.
Yeah. And again, this, I'll never forget, used to have a buddy, I think he lives in California now, and the guy, super smart, double masters, just freaking brilliant. I mean, he had all the talent, tools, the intellectual prowess that, that we are told you got to have in order to get ahead and do well. Me, on the other hand, my undergrad was a solid 2.1, and I didn't have the acumen that he could thrill people with. I'm just a poor old rube in the flower of estates from West Texas, but he didn't have any balls. He had nothing. He wouldn't. I mean, like, he had the incredible intellectual capability. He could weave, business ideas, and he's got, again, the education to make it go forward. But he was terrified of failure. And it stemmed back from his dad would always berate him playing sports about not being good enough. So it just effectively neutered him. He's like, "I'm just
Wow.
not even going to try anymore." And I was like, "I'll try. I'll I'll give it a go." I don't have what you have from, again, an acumen standpoint, but why sit we here, man? Let's do the
That's right.
411 things. Let's go forward and see if we can get the spoils. So it's, man, it's, I think, again, it's so cool that my Taekwondo instructor's like, go make good mistake. And I remember one time that I learned forever, Rich, to keep my hands up when I had them down. And I'm like a yellow belt goofball wanting to be, Steven Seagal. And I got into the ring with a red belt, and he was about 6'3", and he frickin' put a roundhouse to my jaw. I never had my hands down ever again. Never,
I bet.
never. Learned a great lesson, man. Number 15, learn money discipline early.
Mm.
Money magnifies habits. Bad habits create lifelong stress. Control money early, or it's going to control you. Your good buddy Casey Treat,
Mm.
he and Godwin taught me this early on about the discipline of tithing and the
Mm.
discipline of giving. And Rick was a rock and roll guitar player, unsaved, living with his grandparents, and his dad, a Baptist, told him, "Ricky, you're going to tithe." He's like, "I'm not." He wasn't even a Christian, and he's gigging around South Carolina, but he tithed every week to the Baptist church, And I'd say that Godwin has been blessed, you know,
Yeah, he's definitely blessed.
and
Well, he's a
taking.
leader of a huge church now, worldwide ministry, great minister. He's awesome.
Yeah, but absolutely. But the discipline, it's not just, we have a budget, but it's also, the discipline of sowing and giving and
Yeah.
generosity. I wonder if a lot of, parents teach their kids, when you get that that blessing, that paycheck, that whatever, that remuneration from some hard work that you put forth, that you are now a steward of these resources, and the first thing you should do is plow into the propagation of the gospel and the local church. Or is it like,
Yep.
go buy candy, go buy a video game? You know,
Mhm.
nope, nope. We're giving.
I found that my kids, when we'd go on vacation or something, we'd be walking around. They want everything. I want this. I want that. I want this. I want that. So I'd give them all $20. Here's your $20 for the vacation. Spend it on what you want. Dad, I want this. Buy it with your $20. How much is it? It's $14. It's almost all my money. I don't want that. Yeah. If you think you're going to spend all my money and it's some endless thing that doesn't, there's no end to it, you're crazy. That's not happening. So we taught them that. But I went to this camp and I wish I would have done this with my kids. I learned things that I wish I would have done with my kids, So I try to share with people while their kids are small. But this guy said that when his kids turned 12, he stopped buying them underwear and socks. Like he prepared them for it ahead of time, but he would tell them, when you turn 12, I will never buy you socks and underwear again. You have to figure out how to pay for that. And they did. And they would do paper routes or whatever. They had to figure out a way to make money, right? And they did not get paid for chores at their house. That was automatic for living here. And then when they became 15, he pulled back, and now I don't buy your clothes at all. I don't pay for any clothes. And then when they were 16, 17, I'm not paying for your car or your gas or your insurance. And what he was doing is stepping them up, we know. And so that when they turn 18, it wasn't a shock that now I have to pay my own bills. It's such a great idea. You don't have to follow that exact pattern, but it is a great idea at 12 to have something that they're required to provide for, not your candy and movie tickets and socks and underwear, something that no one wants to spend money on, but you absolutely need, right? It's such a brilliant, simple plan to teach your kids through steps so that when they, get old enough that it's not some culture shock thing. You're teaching them about money. Another thing about the point that they write on success habits is that he says this: bad habits create, or money magnifies habits. I always say that people say, give me $1 million, but $1 million is not a blessing to everybody. If you're a drug addict, you're going to be dead. And I know a guy that got in a motorcycle accident, and he got over $1 million in the settlement. Took a couple years. Less than 6 months, he was dead because he burned one in on his motorcycle at like 2 o'clock in the morning on drugs. So he had quit alcohol, tried to quit drugs, but then he came into over $1 million. That's not a blessing to you if you're an undisciplined person. It's a death sentence. And that's exactly what happened to him. So it's not some cool little story. It happened to a person that was a very good friend of mine. So don't think, man, if I had money, it's going to fix my life. No, if you have money, it's going to magnify and multiply your life. So start doing the right things now and teach your kids to do the right things now with money, to tithe, like Doug was saying. Tithe, give to God, save, and have a percent to spend. Look up a system. There's so many books out there to teach kids about money. And one of them is that little one where you put money in the church, you put money in the, whatever, the house and the savings or the bank or whatever. And then you have money to spend, and you teach them those habits, and then you multiply good discipline and structure when they're adults.
Amen. Number 16, choose long-term
16.
gain. Choose long-term gain over short-term pleasure. Ouch, baby. So short-term pleasure trades future strength, delayed gratification, builds stability. This rule decides success quietly. Ouch. Good Lord, Rich.
Yeah, that's trying to go from being a dog to being a man. Dogs choose
Here's what's
food, they choose sleep, they choose sex. They don't
all
they
right.
don't care. But a
They're ready to go.
man is able to project into the future and have delayed gratification. There's a difference between animals and dogs. It's not just levels, it's kind. We're not the same as animals. And so one of our things that separates us from animals is our ability to think about and plan for the future with a choice.
There was this girl, I'll never forget it, man. We were in South Florida, and it was a Bible study, a little home group thing, 20, 30 people. And Rich, when I say she was drop dead gorgeous, she was a beauty. And so I'm out there preaching and stuff, and she's just weeping. And I was like, gosh, what happened? Does it suck? Is it boring? You know, and she's just under conviction. And then uh, one of the girls brought her up to me afterwards, and she was pissed. She was mad at God, just absolutely furious. And so she was 15, and she was, yeah, she was, how can I put it? She wasn't delaying gratification with the boys, and she got the HPV virus, and it caused her to become sterile.
Mm.
And so here she is at 15. Why would God this? Why would God that? You know, just totally, you know, shaking her fist, you know, up to heaven. And yeah, I said, you know, you just should have followed his way. You should have followed his word. Here you get, again, here you get this gratification. Here you're sexy and you know it, and everybody wants you, and you know, sex is fun, or we wouldn't do it, Rich. If it sucked, we
Yeah.
wouldn't do it. And so she didn't delay. That was when the HPV virus. I don't know what's going on now. You know, I don't keep up with STIs and stuff, but the HPV in the early 2000s, that thing was going nuts. It was like 1 in 4, you know, teenage girls had it, and she got it. And I don't know through surgery or just the disease itself that she was, yeah, her egg factory was closed forever.
That's
And
sad.
yeah, it's horrible, man. It's, and again, you know, this whole thing of like I'm going to trade in, you know, pleasure now instead of for strength and stability later. Uh, and I'm not one to talk because I was a 10th degree horn dog, you know, and drunk and drug addict. And I had to get clocked and drugged into reality through Christ. But, you know, nobody wants to be the anachronistic fuddy-duddy telling the kids to stave off pleasure for, you know, future security and stability. But, you know, it doesn't make you the cool dad, doesn't make you the TV dad, but it's gonna provide for them this thing called moorings to keep them tied to something that's, you know, rock solid instead of something that's short-lived.
Yep. I saw a cool video on that. A dad was there with his kids, and they did this experiment with different kids, but they'd say you can have one piece of candy now or 10 pieces in an hour, and they'd put them on the table and watch the kids that reached for the one and the ones that were like, no, wait for the 10. And they were saying that you should teach your kids and give them tests and help them to understand the difference of that and walk them through it when they're little, and they can start to grasp the concept and develop the discipline so that when they're older, do you want to buy something for $10 now? Or is there something that you really want that you'd like to save $100 and buy that later? And those type of things, we can train our kids in those things, you know. It's good to be disciplined, and delayed gratification is the way to success. It's one of the necessary components of success.
Point number 17 pretty much restates point number 16, but control impulses or live with regret.
Mm.
Ugh.
Like it says, men are judged by restraint, not desire.
Yeah, so with the guys in the Instagram world and the macho Twitter X guys that are like the zeitgeist to all these American males, they're not really touting uh, restraint or delayed gratification, like Andrew Tate
Right.
and stuff. And Dan Bilzerian, remember him from 10 years ago? Just, you know, Hawaiian tropics, supermodels, yachts, drugs, multiple sex partners. And yeah, if any young person is listening right now, don't follow those guys. Don't
Yeah,
listen to
exactly.
what they're doing. And I think it goes back to the Word of God, where in what's it in Titus 2, where Paul tells Titus to teach the young men to take their lives seriously.
Mm,
And again, we think, well, you're young, and it's go sow your wild oats, have fun, and it's like, well, there could be some horrendous regret circumstances involved. Mary Margaret and I love watching on YouTube, 48 hours, and it's the mostly murdered women who married the wrong dumbass, and then it just blew up and turned into a hellish uh, death knell. But regret, oof. And we're yelling at the television, Rich, like, don't do it, stupid, red flag, red flag.
yeah.
But they don't listen. We yell at the TV, but they're ignoring us all the time. But again, the whole thing is, my desires. Well, my heart wants this. And, well, is what your heart after? Um, is it biblical? Is it legit? Is it the time? Uh, is it the Lord's will? What are you talking about? If I followed my heart, Rich, I would be in prison right now, pretty
Right.
much.
There's also a great movie that I watched with my boys years ago. It's a F1 movie, but it's called Rush. And it's a true
Yep.
story. And it's the competition between two guys and their rivalry growing up and stuff. And my
The rats.
kids were literally cheering for the cool guy.
It's
I
Chris
smoked
Hemsworth, man.
them. What?
It's Chris
Chris
Hemsworth.
Hemsworth. Yeah. I smoked him right in the movie theater. I said, stop cheering for idiots and stop cheering for evil. And they were like, what? That guy's cool. I said, that guy's not cool. The guy's a freaking idiot. I didn't even know the end of the story. End of the story, that guy dies young because he's an idiot, and the other guy becomes famous and lives, a long, old life. I'm like, that's why. It's not get it while the getting's good. It's like plan not only for eternity, but plan for a life that makes sense. And we don't live by our impulses and what I feel like I do. We're back to the dog thing. Like it doesn't make any sense. And I literally would not let my kids cheer for evil. And they thought I was mean, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit here while your mind says, this is the good guy. That's not the good guy. That's the talented guy with no character.
Right. Yeah, and again, it didn't end well for Hemsworth's character at all. And
No.
didn't he die of cirrhosis of the liver or
Yeah,
AIDS,
something. And
something
then
like
the other
that?
guy was Nicky What was his name? Do you remember?
I can't remember. He was called the
What
Rat.
a great movie. I don't know how that movie did not blow up. I watched that movie and I felt like I could feel the intensity of F1 watching that movie. It was so crazy. Great movie. Watch it.
Yeah, and as you watch that, read 1 Corinthians 9, where Paul says, I buffet my body, I make it my slave. I don't fight as one beating the air. I don't run without aim. Again, that's all control, 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 control. And again, it's not sexy, but it keeps from grief and grief and regret and grief and regret and grief. I mean,
Yeah. And
you look at Rob Reiner's kid that slit their throats here. This kid didn't get any kind of control. Mommy and daddy, let him live in his besotted cloud of affluenza, and he could have anything that he want. He grew up in a 17-bedroom mansion in West Hollywood, and yeah, he's probably going to face the death penalty in a state that usually doesn't dole out the death penalty for what he did because he lived by impulse instead of by design. So,
yep. And he should face the death penalty. Impulse gives momentary relief, right? Control gives options. And because we've talked about this, Doug, but I set on a 90-day reset to reset my health. I'm like, I need to invest in my health. And it wasn't Ozempic, which I'm not against that. If people are overweight and it's saving their life, whatever, do what you need to do. But I've done some crazy stuff, Doug. It's so crazy. You know what I do? I fast 18 hours a day. I eat at 11:30 a.m. I eat again at 6:30 p.m. And I don't eat anything between those two times. At 11:30, I eat copious amounts of protein and an entire heaping plate of vegetables. And after that, I walk 15 minutes. And when I tell you that other than getting a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep, that's it. And in 50 days, I've lost 28 pounds, not through hard exercise, not through this and then cutting that, and I can't eat this and I can't do, just being very disciplined and simple. It's not even magic. Literally the easiest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's just from saying, you know what? I want to invest in my future. Nothing's wrong. And I also know friends that are sick and then their whole life has to become that to survive. And I was like, no, I want to invest in my life now, in my health for later. I don't need a crisis. I'm a man with the Holy Spirit. I have the ability to make a decision for later. I can control my impulses. And I decided that I just need to be more disciplined. It was simple, literally zero effort. And now I'm much healthier, much happier. Blood work is fantastic. My abs are starting to show. I'm 57 years old. What's up? And you know what? I'm thankful to God that I was able to come across this information to help me. Piece of cake. But it just said, don't keep sticking your mouth 24/7.
Imagine that, man. Number
Yeah.
18. Good job, brother. Good job. I hope
Thanks, man.
I hope you set an example for everybody in your circle.
I'm helping some guys in my church, Doug, because it's been so easy and revolutionary, and they're doing it and they're so happy, super happy. And I want them to live. I didn't want to tell people. You said the 4 lepers. I don't want to tell people because I was like, I don't want to talk to people about it. I don't care. I'm not into, hey, everybody, look at me. And then I thought about those guys and their lives and how miserable they must feel. And I met with some guys and I helped them. And guys are dropping 40 pounds, 50 pounds. They're like, this is the easiest thing. I've never felt so good. I've never slept so good. I've never had so much energy, no cravings, just from just simple stuff like that. It's amazing, Doug. It's incredible.
We got to end it there, man. What a perfect note to end it on. Discipline.
Yeah, why not? Let's wrap it.
The world belongs to the discipline, period. All right, Rich, aside from all the good stuff that we have aforementioned, what
Imparted.
Yes, afflatus that came from our spirit to the viewers. Oh my God. What else?
I hope people know we're extremely sarcastic in our over exaggeration of our influence. And
we read a list. That's all we did.
we read a list somebody wrote. We said, that's good. There's a lot of Bible stuff in there. Let's share it.
Heck yeah, man. So what else they need
All
to
right.
do?
You go to warriorsofwildmen.com, subscribe. It's free. We'll hit you up with a couple emails, let you know what's happening. If you're getting something good from the podcast, hit the war chest. Your gift is tax deductible. It helps us do what we're doing, make it happen. 8 years plus. And thanks for the guys that are helping to sow into it. And we pray that you're blessed and that God would multiply those finances back to you. And also, when you give your gift, we'll send you the information that's tax deductible on that too. So, Warriors and Wild Men, out.